The goal is, for those of you who want to do this as a full-time job, there is such a thing as a living wage. What's a living wage? When you're making enough money doing this that you can say goodbye to your full-time job. That's a living wage, whatever that number is for you. Wake Up Now is on the side, which needs more time. How and when did you find time to carve out to do it? Because a lot of folks who just got started are wondering, I love this, I can't wait, but I gotta go to work on Monday. So how did you fit it in? What did you have to do differently to make enough time to do it?
Okay, everyone saying they don't have time, right? You have to make time. Really, you have to make time. I've talked to people who are, have 2 kids, they have jobs, they have full-time jobs, all this kind of stuff. They said, I didn't have time, but I made time in this. And with me, I was producing, engineering music full-time when I came into Wake Up Now. And I realized, hey, I might have to sacrifice a little income. I might have to work a little bit less, even though I work for myself, right? But I realized the vision of this. I might have to sacrifice, again, a couple hours, sacrifice a little bit of pay, be uncomfortable, but guess what? Successful people get comfortable at being uncomfortable, right? That's what we have to do. You have to realize your priorities. You look at Wake Up Now, you go, this actually has a future, because if I work 1 year in this, it can help me become financially free, or subsidized income, whatever it is, substitute your income. Whereas I work 1 year at my job, another year, what happens? Most likely work another year, right? And then another year, and another year. What's the average retirement age in America? Or Canada? It's probably similar, 73, right? So you're looking at this, it's all about priorities. And organizing your time, making time. You say, hey look, I'm gonna have a house meeting, I'm gonna invite 3 people over, I'm gonna move aside to 5 people, I'm gonna have it twice a week. I know I can make time for this business. That's how I built a team of 200 people in 2 months, is because I had little meetings to crawl, walk, then run, right? And I learned this business by presenting the business, because I realized my success was not dependent on Julian, it was dependent on me. And that's why I went heavy in personal development. I looked at what Julian looked at, and that's what I studied, right? I didn't really study Julian, I studied what he would study. I went past Julian, went to Tony Robbins, went to Les Brown, went to Jim Rohn, because those are the guys that he was learning from. So you don't have to learn everything from your upline, right? Plug into what your upline is plugging into. And that's how you're gonna make time for this business.
I do want to hear from the only mother on stage, because there are people here with families. How did you fit it in? Or are you fitting it in?
Very similar to what we just said. You just make time. You make time, whether that be when they go to bed, whether that be you get up earlier in the morning. You just make time.
How much? Did you always put in as much as you're doing?
Yes.
Okay. For those who missed the question, did you always put in as much time as you're putting in now? And the answer was yes. And here's why. When we look at the things that the times suck in our lives, everybody's got a time suck. I'm gonna put my hand in mine was TV for a while. There are certain shows that I just fell in love with. I didn't want to miss them. The DVR is the greatest invention ever, because I can watch my shows when I want to and fast forward through commercials. But my point is, when you sit down and realize, well, I'm not quite where I want to be, and you sat down to figure out how much time you're spending on things, I promise you, just like you can find money in your budget, you can find time in your schedule. And I'll leave you with this example. My oldest daughter just turned 18, pray for me. And my youngest is 16. And if you saw pictures of me, you'd wonder why I don't own a gun yet, but I don't. It's all right, I'll get there. I sat down with her because she's got a job now, right? She had a part-time job while she was in school, and she was trying to find time to fit all this stuff in. I said, listen, let's figure out what your life looks like, because her senior year was real light. She didn't have many classes left to graduate high school. And I sat down with a piece of graph paper, okay, just lined paper, and I made a grid. And it was every day of the week, it was 7 days a week. Did I just turn that off? No, I just hit a button and the color changed and I freaked out. I made a grid and it had every day of the week and it had every hour. From the time she woke up, or whatever, we started blocking things out. And I said, how many hours a night do you sleep? And she said, 8, 9, okay, 7 days times 8, okay, that's 56-ish hours a week that you spent sleeping. Done. How many hours a week are you actually at school? Did you drive away from home? You go to school, you come back, how many hours a week is that? We wrote that down. And my point to her was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anybody know good at math? 168 hours every week. Every human being in every country on the planet gets 168 hours a week. Start subtracting the things that cannot be moved. I don't recommend getting less than 6 hours of sleep. You don't function well without it. Some of you do, but it's not good for you. So subtract your sleep, subtract your job, subtract how much time you spend eating, making and eating food. And I know I'm getting silly here, but you understand my point? By the time we did all the essentials for my daughter, and it was a lot of stuff, I said, okay, you got it? You got your chores? Yeah, you got work? Yeah, you got your school? Yeah, you got sleep? Yeah, you got yeah. How many hours are left? 90. 90 hours a week left after she listed everything she just listed. I said, do you think you might be able to fit in a few other things if you had to that don't involve this or watching TV? Yeah, I guess I could. And my point there is that she's no different than me or any of us. That 168 hours a week is what we get. There are people out there doing more with it than I was at a certain time, and so I had to step up my game, and I had to trade TV for books. Usually professional books or something that would make me like the occasional spy novel. I love that stuff. But you can fit in fun, don't get me wrong. Fun has to be in your schedule, but I promise you, you'll still be left with more than zero. Now, how many of you, well, question, what is the percent chance, what are the odds of failure if you spend 10 to 12 hours a week to start working this business? Percentage failure. It's pretty close to zero. Because if you're doing something, anything, that's why I was looking for objections for anyone. Well, you could be a complete idiot and fail, but assuming you're not complete idiots, if you dedicate just a chunk of time and commit to it, are you pointing at people? I thought maybe you guys were calling people out. That's just rude. There is a way to fit it in, but it's got to be a priority, right? The things we want, we find time for. Are you with me?
Absolutely.
Was this helpful? Can you guys give these guys a hand for giving you the information? Thank you all. Grab your chairs, because I don't want you to get trip. Hey, they're going to be around after we finish up. We'll all hang out afterwards. If you've got questions,